Okay, so I'm still on this kick about Roe versus Wade, and I recognize that's a conversation that has already occurred, but I'm all right with, utilizing my own timing in order to address particular topics because laws as they are always, go through a process of being established, but they can always be reestablished or, changed as time goes along. But at the same time, I want to be able to speak to the relevance of the consideration of the overturning of the law due to perspectives having to do with the Bible. And again, from a Christian black woman's perspective, knowing and reading the Bible myself and always learning new things as I continue to read the Bible, I find myself thinking about Roe versus Wade, and specifically regarding an opportunity for someone to have a choice. And so from my perspective, I automatically go to John 8, which is the parable about a woman who has committed adultery with a man. That she's had sex with a man, not married to him, and then she is brought before Jesus. And Jesus during that time was probably so used to being tested. He's like, okay, well, what are y'all about to ask me to address now? Because according to Moses' law, if anyone was found in adultery, they essentially were going to be stoned, which means that they were going to be killed. Now, that's way back in the day. We're talking about like literally 2,000 plus years ago, according to the biblical time. At the same time, he as wise and as knowledgeable as he is, because of course he knows what the law is, but then he also is a man of great compassion, God's love within him, and peace, and very wise and intelligent, I have to tell you. And so from my perspective, Jesus definitely was a feminist. And so he first probably noticed that it was just a woman that was brought to him and not the man. And so why wasn't her and he brought to, that particular point so that each of them could be stoned? Because technically, again, they were both engaging in adultery. So that's just a disparity right there that needs to be addressed. He bends down and starts writing in the sand and essentially says to the crowd, I want the first one who has never sinned or done anything wrong to cast the first stone. And so literally, the Bible says from the oldest, is starting with the oldest, and then the youngest, everyone in the crowd end up walking away. And so essentially, that particular law at that point was not implemented, overturned during that particular time. So we're talking about the opposite perspective, though, where it was start off with the punitive first, and then for him to establish a perspective that considers grace, right? That considers compassion, that considers a true human perspective. I mean, because the only one who literally was without sin that has ever lived across this earth is Jesus himself. Which is the reason why he was able to be the perfect sacrifice. So don't want to get too deep into it, but at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that if Jesus was able to utilize that particular perspective from the oldest to the youngest, from those who have particular antiquated viewpoints to those who are possibly more open to the idea of considering new ideas and thought, but to change everyone's mind regarding how we view how things should work in other people's lives, why can't we do the same thing now? So just like in true Jesus feminist perspective fashion, I believe, the question now is, even though the law has already been overturned, but I tell you what, if I had an opportunity to testify, I would say, who has the right to decide who gets a second, third, or fourth, or fifth chance? Allow someone the perspective to be able to make that particular choice. Because if we're looking at it from the perspective of the Bible, even Jesus was the one that was advocating for that perspective. Allowing people chance and opportunity to get things right and to be able to change their way of doing things, to shift their patterns, because we never know if that's something that may have just been a one-time situation or not. I mean, I want to make sure I make a point too, is that he did say at the end, when she was the only one there standing with him, now, okay, go on about your life, but just don't do it again, essentially, which means he was able to advocate for it that time, but I don't know if he'll be able to advocate for you the next time now. So just make sure that you don't do that again, okay? And so, but it shows the effects of grace and mercy and compassion on people's lives, and that, that is something to consider, but it's a quality that sometimes law law cannot account for. But at the same time, if we're able to, through our viewpoints culturally, and then also if we are a little bit more nuanced regarding our language, we'll be able to understand that there is human experiences. And so sometimes it can't just be as black and white, because there is a standard, but it doesn't mean that the standard is always met all the time. But it also doesn't mean that people don't deserve another chance. And so that's all I'm saying. And I certainly hope that y'all have a great day.